2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had stayed 2 days in Ziklag. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 2. It came even to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent, and earth on his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 3. And David said to him, From where come you? And he said to him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 40. And David said to him, How went the matter? I pray you, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 5. And David said to the young man that told him, How know you that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 6. And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance on Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned on his spear, and see, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 7. And when he looked behind him, he saw me, and called to me. And I answered, Here am I. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 8. And he said to me, Who are you? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 9. He said to me again, Stand, I pray you, on me, and slay me. For anguish has come on me, because my life is yet whole in me. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 10. So I stood on him, and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was on his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them here to my Lord. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 11. Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 12. And they mourned, and wept, and fasted, until even, for Saul, and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 13. And David said to the young man that told him, From where are you? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 14. And David said to him, How are you not afraid to stretch forth your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 15. And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall on him. And he smote him that he died. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 16. And David said to him, Your blood be on your head, for your mouth has testified against you, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 17. And David lamented with this lamentation over Saul, and over Jonathan his son. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 18. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 19. The beauty of Israel is slain on your high places. How are the mighty fallen? 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 20. Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Ascalon. Lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 21. You mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain on you, nor fields of offerings. For there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 22. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 23. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 24. You daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet, with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold on your apparel. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 25. How are the mighty fallen in the middle of the battle? O Jonathan, you were slain in your high places. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 26. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant have you been to me. Your love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. 2 Samuel, chapter 1, verse 27. How are the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perished? 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass after this, that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said to him, Go up. And David said, Where shall I go up? And he said, To Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 2. So David went up thither, and his two wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelite, and Abigail Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 3. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household. And they dwelled in the cities of Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 4. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, that the men of Jabesh-Gilead were they that buried Saul. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 5. And David sent messengers to the men of Jabesh-Gilead, and said to them, Blessed be you of the Lord, that you have showed this kindness to your Lord, even to Saul, and have buried him. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6. And now the Lord show kindness and truth to you, and I also will requite you this kindness, because you have done this thing. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 7. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be you valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 8. But Abner the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 9. And made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Ephraim, and over all Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 10. Ishbosheth Saul's son was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 11. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 12. And Abner the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 13. And Joab the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David, went out, and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 14. And Abner said to Joab, Let the young men now arise, and play before us. And Joab said, Let them arise. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 15. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 16. And they caught everyone his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side. So they fell down together. Why that place was called Helkath Hazurim, which is in Gibeon. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 17. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel, before the servants of David. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 18. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah there, Job and Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 19. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand, nor to the left from following Abner. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 20. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Are you Asahel? And he answered, I am. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 21. And Abner said to him, Turn you aside to your right hand or to your left, and lay you hold on one of the young men, and take you his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following of him. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 22. And Abner said again to Asahel, Turn you aside from following me. Why should I smite you to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab your brother? 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 23. However, he refused to turn aside. Why Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the 5th rib, that the spear came out behind him. And he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 24. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner. And the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, that lies before Giah by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 25. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 26. Then Abner called to Joab and said, Shall the sword devour forever? Know you not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be then, before you bid the people return from following their brothers? 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 27. And Joab said, As God lives, unless you had spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up every one from following his brother. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 28. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still, and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 29. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over Jordan, and went through all Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 30. And Joab returned from following Abner, And when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asahel. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 31. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin, and of Abner's men, so that 360 men died. 2 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 32. And they took up Asahel, and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at break of day. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 1. Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 2. And to David were sons born in Hebron, and his firstborn was Amnon, of Ahinoam the Jezreelites. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 3. And his second, Chileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And the third, Absalom the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 4. And the fourth, Adonijah the son of Haggith. And the fifth, Shephatiah the son of Abidal. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 5. And the sixth, Ithream, by Eglah David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 6. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And Samuel, chapter 3, verse 7. And Saul had a concubine, whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, Why have you gone in to my father's concubine? 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 8. Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day to the house of Saul your father, to his brothers, and to his friends, and have not delivered you into the hand of David, that you charge me today with a fault concerning this woman? 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 9. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord has sworn to David. Even so I do to him. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 10. To translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 11. And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 12. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is the land? Saying also, Make your league with me. And behold, my hand shall be with you, to bring about all Israel to you. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 13. And he said, Well, I will make a league with you, but one thing I require of you, that is, you shall not see my face, except you first bring Michal Saul's daughter, when you come to see my face. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 14. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 15. And Ishbosheth sent, and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel the son of Laish. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 16. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Bahurim. Then said Abner to him, Go, return. And he returned. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 17. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, You sought for David in times past to be king over you. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 18. Now then do it, for the Lord has spoken of David, saying, By the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines, and out of the hand of all their enemies. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 19. And Abner also spoke in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 20. So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 21. And Abner said to David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel to my lord the king, that they may make a league with you, and that you may reign over all that your heart desires. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 22. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 23. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has sent him away, and he is gone in peace. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 24. Then Joab came to the king and said, What have you done? Behold, Abner came to you. Why is it that you have sent him away, and he is quite gone? 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 25. You know Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive you, and to know your going out and your coming in, and to know all that you do. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 26. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah, but David knew it not. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 27. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the 5th rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 28. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever, from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 29. Let it rest on the head of Joab, and on all his father's house. And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that has an issue, or that is a leper, or that leans on a staff, or that falls on the sword, or that lacks bread. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 30. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon. Second Samuel, chapter 3, verse 31. And David said to Joab, and to all the people that were with him, Rend your clothes, and gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 32. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice, and wept at the grave of Abner. And all the people wept. 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 33. And the king lamented over Abner, and said, Died Abner as a fool dies? 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 34. Your hands were not bound, nor your feet put into fetters, As a man falls before wicked men, so fell you. And all the people wept again over him. 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 35. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David swore, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or anything else, till the sun be down. 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 36. And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatever the king did pleased all the people. 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 37. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner. 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 38. And the king said to his servants, Know you not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 39. And I am this day weak, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil, according to his wickedness. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 1. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 2. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of the one was Baanah, and the name of the other Rechab, the sons of Rimmon a Beerothite, of the children of Benjamin. For Beeroth also was reckoned to Benjamin. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 3. And the Beerothites fled to Gittaim, and were sojourners there until this day. Yahweh's. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 40. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel. And his nurse took him up, and fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell, and became lame. And his name was Mephibosheth. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 5. And the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, Rechab and Baanah, went, and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who lay on a bed at noon. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 6. And they came thither into the middle of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat, and they smote him unto the fifth rib, and Rechab and Baanah his brother escaped. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 7. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him, and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and got them away through the plain all night. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 8. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth to David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul your enemy, which sought your life. And the Lord has avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and of his seed. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 9. And David answered Rechab and Baanah his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, and said to them, As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my soul out of all adversity. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 10. When one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him, and slew him in Ziklag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 11. How much more, when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house on his bed, shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand, and take you away from the earth? 2 Samuel chapter 4 verse 12. And David commanded his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their hands and their feet, and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 1. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David to Hebron, and spoke, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 2. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, you were he that led out and brought in Israel. And the Lord said to you, You shall feed my people Israel, and you shall be a captain over Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 3. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 4. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 5. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Israel and Judah. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 6. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem to the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spoke to David, saying, Except you take away the blind and the lame, you shall not come in here, thinking, David cannot come in here. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 7. Nevertheless David took the stronghold of Zion, the same as the city of David. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 8. And David said on that day, Whoever gets up to the gutter and smites the Jebusites, and the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Why they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 9. So David dwelled in the fort, and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Millo and inward. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 10. And David went on, and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 11. And Hiram king of Tyre sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons. And they built David an house. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 12. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people, Israel's sake. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 13. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem, after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 14. And these be the names of those that were born to him in Jerusalem: Shammah, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Solomon. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 15. Ebar also, and Elishua, and Nepheg, and Japhia. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 16. And Elishama, and Eliada, and Eliphalet, Dais. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 17. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it, and went down to the hole. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 18. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 19. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hand? And the Lord said to David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into your hand. 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 20. And David came to Baal-perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord has broken forth on my enemies before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal-perazim, Daunt. 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 21. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 22. And the Philistines came up yet again, and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 23. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, You shall not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come on them over against the mulberry trees. 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 24. And let it be, when you hear the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then you shall bestir yourself, for then shall the Lord go out before you to smite the host of the Philistines. 2 Samuel, chapter 5, verse 25. And David did so, as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until you come to Gezer. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 1. Again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 2. And David arose, and went with all the people that were with him from Baalah of Judah, to bring up from there the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwells between the cherubim. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 3. And they set the ark of God on a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, that was in Gibeah. And Uzzah and Io, the sons of Abinadab, drove the new cart. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 4. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God. And Io went before the ark. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 5. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps, and on psalteries, and on tambourines, and on cornets, and on cymbals. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 6. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 7. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 8. And David was displeased, because the Lord had made a breach on Uzzah. And he called the name of the place Perazuzah to this day. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 9. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 10. So David would not remove the ark of the Lord to him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obededom the Gittite. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 11. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obededom the Gittite 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obededom and all his household. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 12. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord has blessed the house of Obededom, and all that pertains to him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obededom into the city of David with gladness. 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 13. And it was so, that when they that bore the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatted calves. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 14. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, and David was girded with a linen ephod. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 15. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting, and with the sound of the trumpet. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 16. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal Saul's daughter looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 17. And they brought in the ark of the Lord, and set it in his place, in the middle of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 18. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 19. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed every one to his house. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 20. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal the daughter of Saul came out to meet David, and said, How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovers himself. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 21. And David said to Michal, It was before the Lord, which chose me before your father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 22. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in my own sight. And of the maidservants which you have spoken of them shall I be had in honor. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 23. Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child to the day of her death. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 2. That the king said to Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of God dwells within curtains. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 3. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in your heart, for the Lord is with you. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 4. And it came to pass that night, that the word of the Lord came to Nathan, saying, 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 5. Go and tell my servant David, Thus says the Lord, Shall you build me an house for me to dwell in? 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 6. Whereas I have not dwelled in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 7. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spoke I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build you not me an house of cedar? Samuel chapter 7, verse 8. Now therefore so shall you say to my servant David, Thus says the Lord of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 9. And I was with you wherever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight, and have made you a great name, like to the name of the great men that are in the earth. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 10. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 11. And since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also the Lord tells you that he will make you an house. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 12. And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 13. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 14. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 15. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before you. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 16. And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 17. According to all these words, and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak to David. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 18. Then went King David in, and sat before the Lord, and he said, Who am I, O Lord God, and what is my house, that you have brought me till now? 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 19. And this was yet a small thing in your sight, O Lord God. But you have spoken also of your servant's house for a great while to come. And is this the manner of man, O Lord God? 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 20. And what can David say more to you? For you, Lord God, know your servant. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 21. For your word's sake, and according to your own heart, have you done all these great things, to make your servant know them. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 22. Why you are great, O Lord God, for there is none like you, neither is there any God beside you, according to all that we have heard with our ears. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 23. And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel, whom God went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible, for your land, before your people, which you redeemed to you from Egypt, from the nations and their God. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 24. For you have confirmed to yourself your people Israel to be a people to you forever, and you, Lord, are become their God. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 25. And now, O Lord God, the word that you have spoken concerning your servant, and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as you have said. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 26. And let your name be magnified forever, saying, The Lord of hosts is the God over Israel. and let the house of your servant David be established before you. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 27. For you, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, have revealed to your servant, saying, I will build you an house. Therefore has your servant found in his heart to pray this prayer to you. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 28. And now, O Lord God, you are that God, and your words be true, and you have promised this goodness to your servant. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 29. Therefore now let it please you to bless the house of your servant, that it may continue forever before you. For you, O Lord God, have spoken it, and with your blessing let the house of your servant be blessed forever. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. And after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines, and subdued them. And David took Methegama out of the hand of the Philistines. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 2. And he smote Moab, and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines measured he to put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants, and brought gifts. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 3. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 14. And David took from him 1,000 chariots, and 700 horsemen, and 20,000 footmen. And David hamstrung all the chariot horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 5. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor Hadadezer king of Zobah, David slew of the Syrians 22,000 men. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 6. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David, and brought gifts. And the Lord preserved David wherever he went. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 7. And David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer, and brought them to Jerusalem. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 8. And from Beta and from Berotai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took exceeding much brass. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 9. When Toi king of Hamath heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 10. Then Toi sent Joram his son to King David, to salute him, and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer, and smitten him, for Hadadezer had wars with Toi. And Joram brought with him vessels of silver, and vessels of gold, and vessels of brass. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 11. Which also King David did dedicate to the Lord, with the silver and gold that he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 12. Of Syria, and of Moab, and of the children of Ammon, and of the Philistines, and of Amalek, and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 13. And David got him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 14. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David wherever he went. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 15. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice to all his people. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 16. And Job the son of Zeruiah was over the host, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorder. 2 Samuel, chapter 8, verse 17. And Zadok the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech the son of Abiathar were the priests, and Sariah was the scribe. 2 Samuel, chapter 8, verse 18. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over both the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 1. And David said, Is there yet any that is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake? 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 2. And there was of the house of Saul a servant whose name was Ziba. And when they had called him to David, the king said to him, Are you Ziba? And he said, Your servant is he. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 3. And the king said, Is there not yet any of the house of Saul, that I may show the kindness of God to him? And Ziba said to the king, Jonathan has yet a son, which is lame on his feet. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 4. And the king said to him, Where is he? And Ziba said to the king, Behold, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, in Lodebar. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 5. Then King David sent and fetched him out of the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, from Lodebar. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 6. Now when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, was come to David, he fell on his face and did reverence. And David said, Mephibosheth. And he answered, Behold your servant. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 7. And David said to him, Fear not, for I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan your father's sake, and will restore you all the land of Saul your father, and you shall eat bread at my table continually. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 8. And he bowed himself, and said, What is your servant, that you should look on such a dead dog as I am? 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 9. Then the king called to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, I have given to your master's son all that pertained to Saul and to all his house. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 10. You therefore, and your sons, and your servants, shall till the land for him, and you shall bring in the fruits, that your master's son may have food to eat. But Mephibosheth your master's son shall eat bread always at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 11. Then said Ziba to the king, According to all that my lord the king has commanded his servant, so shall your servant do. As for Mephibosheth, said the king, he shall eat at my table as one of the king's sons. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 12. And Mephibosheth had a young son, whose name was Micah. And all that dwelled in the house of Ziba were servants to Mephibosheth. 2 Samuel, chapter 9, verse 13. So Mephibosheth dwelled in Jerusalem, for he did eat continually at the king's table, and was lame on both his feet. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 1. And it came to pass after this, that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 2. Then said David, I will show kindness to Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness to me. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 3. And the princes of the children of Ammon said to Hanun, Think you that David does honor your father, that he has sent comforters to you? Has not David rather sent his servants to you, to search the city, and to spy it out, and to overthrow it? 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 4. Why Hanun took David's servants, and shaved off the one half of their beards, and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 5. When they told it to David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, Tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 6. And when the children of Ammon saw that they stank before David, the children of Ammon sent and hired the Syrians of Bethrehob, and the Syrians of Zobah, 20,000 footmen, and of King Maacah 1,000 men, and of Ishto 12,000 men. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 7. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab, and all the host of the mighty men. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 8. And the children of Ammon came out, and put the battle in array at the entering of the gate. And the Syrians of Zobah, and of Rehob, and Ishtob, and Maacah, were by themselves in the field. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 9. When Joab saw that the front of the battle was against him before and behind, he chose of all the choice men of Israel, and put them in array against the Syrians. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 10. And the rest of the people he delivered into the hand of Abishai his brother, that he might put them in array against the children of Ammon. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 11. And he said, If the Syrians be too strong for me, then you shall help me. But if the children of Ammon be too strong for you, then I will come and help you. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 12. Be of good courage, and let us play the men for our people, and for the cities of our God, and the Lord do that which seems him good. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 13. And Joab drew near, and the people that were with him, to the battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 14. And when the children of Ammon saw that the Syrians were fled, then fled they also before Abishai, and entered into the city. So Joab returned from the children of Ammon, and came to Jerusalem. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 15. And when the Syrians saw that they were smitten before Israel, they gathered themselves together. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 16. And Hadarezer sent, and brought out the Syrians that were beyond the river, and they came to Helam, and Shobach the captain of the host of Hadarezer went before them. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 17. And when it was told David, he gathered all Israel together, and passed over Jordan, and came to Helam. And the Syrians set themselves in array against David, and fought with him. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 18. And the Syrians fled before Israel. And David slew the men of 700 chariots of the Syrians, and 40,000 horsemen, and smote Shobach the captain of their host, who died there. 2 Samuel, chapter 10, verse 19. And when all the kings that were servants to Hadarezer saw that they were smitten before Israel, they made peace with Israel, and served them. So the Syrians feared to help the children of Ammon any more. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab, and his servants with him, and all Israel, And they destroyed the children of Ammon, and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 2. And it came to pass in an evening, that David arose from off his bed, and walked on the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look on. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 3. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 40. And David sent messengers, and took her, and she came in to him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned to her house. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 5. And the woman conceived, and sent and told David, and said, I am with child. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 6. And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 7. And when Uriah was come to him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 8. And David said to Uriah, Go down to your house, and wash your feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 9. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 10. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down to his house, David said to Uriah, Came you not from your journey? Why then did you not go down to your house? 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 11. And Uriah said to David, The ark, and Israel, and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab, and the servants of my lord, are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my house, to eat, and to drink, and to lie with my wife? As you live, and as your soul lives, I will not do this thing. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 12. And David said to Uriah, Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let you depart. So Uriah stayed in Jerusalem that day, and the morrow. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 13. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 14. And it came to pass in the morning, that David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 15. And he wrote in the letter, saying, Set you Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire you from him, that he may be smitten and die. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 16. And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah to a place where he knew that valiant men were. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 17. And the men of the city went out, and fought with Joab. And there fell some of the people of the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 18. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 19. And charged the messengers, saying, When you have made an end of telling the matters of the war to the king. 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 20. And if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he say to you, Why approached you so near to the city when you did fight? Knew you not that they would shoot from the wall? 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 21. Who smote Abimelech the son of Jerubbesheth? Did not a woman cast a piece of a millstone on him from the wall, that he died in Thebez? Why went you near the wall? Then say you, Your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 22. So the messenger went, and came and showed David all that Joab had sent him for. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 23. And the messenger said to David, Surely the men prevailed against us, and came out to us into the field, and we were on them even to the entering of the gate. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 24. And the shooters shot from off the wall on your servants, and some of the king's servants be dead, and your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 25. Then David said to the messenger, Thus shall you say to Joab, Let not this thing displease you, for the sword devours one as well as another. Make your battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage you him. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 26. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 27. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bore him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord sent Nathan to David, and he came to him, and said to him, There were 2 men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 2. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 3. But the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was to him as a daughter. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 40. And there came a travellers to the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come to him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 5. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, As the Lord lives, the man that has done this thing shall surely die. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 6. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 7. And Nathan said to David, You are the man. Thus says the Lord God of Israel, I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 18. And I gave you your master's house, and your master's wives into your bosom, and gave you the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given to you such and such things. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 9. Why have you despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight? You have killed Uriah the Hittite with a sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife, and have slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 10. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 11. Thus says the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes, and give them to your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of this sun. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 12. For you did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel, and before the sun. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 13. And David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said to David, The Lord also has put away your sin. You shall not die. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 14. However, because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born to you shall surely die. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 15. And Nathan departed to his house. And the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bore to David, and it was very sick. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 16. David therefore sought God for the child, and David fasted, and went in, and lay all night on the earth. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 17. And the elders of his house arose, and went to him, to raise him up from the earth. But he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 18. And it came to pass on the 7th day, that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, Behold, while the child was yet alive, we spoke to him. And he would not listen to our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 19. But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said to his servants, Is the child dead? And they said, He is dead. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 20. Then David arose from the earth, and washed, and anointed himself, and changed his apparel, and came into the house of the Lord, and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 21. Then said his servants to him, What thing is this that you have done? You did fast and weep for the child while it was alive. But when the child was dead, you did rise and eat bread. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 22. And he said, While the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, Who can tell whether God will be gracious to me, that the child may live? 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 23. But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 24. And David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in to her, and lay with her. And she bore a son, and he called his name Solomon. And the Lord loved him. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 25. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah, because of the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 26. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 27. And Joab sent messengers to David, and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have taken the city of waters. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 28. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together, and encamp against the city, and take it, lest I take the city, and it be called after my name. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 29. And David gathered all the people together, and went to Rabbah, and fought against it, and took it. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 30. And he took their king's crown from off his head, the weight whereof was a talent of gold with the precious stones, and it was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 31. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brick kiln. And thus did he to all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass after this, that Absalom the son of David had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon the son of David loved her. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 2. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 3. But Amnon had a friend, whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimea, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 40. And he said to him, Why are you, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Will you not tell me? And Amnon said to him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 5. And Jonadab said to him, Lay you down on your bed, and make yourself sick. And when your father comes to see you, say to him, I pray you, let my sister Tamar come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 6. So Amnon lay down, and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amnon said to the king, I pray you, let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 7. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to your brother Amnon's house, and dress him meat. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 8. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down. And she took flour, and kneaded it, and made cakes in his sight, and did bake the cakes. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 9. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. And they went out every man from him. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 10. And Amnon said to Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of your hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 11. And when she had brought them to him to eat, he took hold of her, and said to her, Come lie with me, my sister. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 12. And she answered him, No, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing should be done in Israel. Do not you this folly? 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 13. And I, where shall I cause my shame to go? And as for you, you shall be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore I pray you, speak to the king, for he will not withhold me from you. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 14. However, he would not listen to her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her, and lay with her. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 15. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred with which he hated her was greater than the love with which he had loved her. And Amnon said to her, Arise, be gone. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 16. And she said to him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that you did to me. But he would not listen to her. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 17. Then he called his servant that ministered to him and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 18. And she had a garment of divers colors on her. For with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out, and bolted the door after her. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 19. And Tamar put ashes on her head, and rent her garment of divers colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 20. And Absalom her brother said to her, Has Amnon your brother been with you? But hold now your peace, my sister. He is your brother. Regard not this thing. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 21. But when King David heard of all these things, he was very wroth. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 22. And Absalom spoke to his brother Amnon neither good nor bad, for Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 23. And it came to pass after 2 full years, that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baalhazor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 24. And Absalom came to the king, and said, Behold now, your servant has sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech you, and his servants go with your servant. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 25. And the king said to Absalom, No, my son, let us not all now go, lest we be chargeable to you. And he pressed him. However, he would not go, but blessed him. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 26. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray you, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said to him, Why should he go with you? 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 27. But Absalom pressed him, that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 28. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark you now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine? And when I say to you, Smite Amnon, then kill him, fear not. Have not I commanded you? Be courageous, and be valiant. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 29. And the servants of Absalom did to Amnon, as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man got him up on his mule, and fled. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 30. And it came to pass, while they were in the way, that tidings came to David, saying, Absalom has slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 31. Then the king arose, and tare his garments, and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 32. And Jonadab, the son of Shimea, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men the king's sons. For Amnon only is dead. For by the appointment of Absalom, this has been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 33. Now therefore let not my lord, the king, take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 34. But Absalom fled, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 35. And Jonadab said to the king, Behold, the king's sons come. As your servant said, so it is. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 36. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that, behold, the king's sons came, and lifted up their voice and wept, and the king also, and all his servants wept very sore. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 37. But Absalom fled, and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur, and David mourned for his son every day. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 38. So Absalom fled, and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. 2 Samuel, chapter 13, verse 39. And the soul of King David longed to go forth to Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing he was dead. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 1. Now Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 2. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and fetched there a wise woman, and said to her, I pray you, feign yourself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not yourself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 3. And come to the king, and speak on this manner to him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 14. And when the woman of Tekoa spoke to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 5. And the king said to her, What ails you? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 6. And your handmaid had 2 sons, and they 2 strove together in the field. And there was none to part them, but the one smote the other, and slew him. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 7. And behold, the whole family is risen against your handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him, for the life of his brother whom he slew. And we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder on the earth. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 8. And the king said to the woman, Go to your house, and I will give charge concerning you. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 9. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me, and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 10. And the king said, Whoever says anything to you, bring him to me, and he shall not touch you any more. 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 11. Then said she, I pray you, let the king remember the Lord your God, that you would not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord lives, there shall not one hair of your son fall to the earth. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 12. Then the woman said, Let your handmaid, I pray you, speak one word to my lord the king. And he said, Say on. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 13. And the woman said, Why then have you thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king does speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king does not fetch home again, is banished. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 14. For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither does God respect any person, yet does he devise means, that his banished be not expelled from him. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 15. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing to my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And your handmaid said, I will now speak to the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 16. For the king will hear, to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 17. Then your handmaid said, The word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore, the Lord your God will be with you. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 18. Then the king answered and said to the woman, Hide not from me, I pray you, the thing that I shall ask you. And the woman said, Let my lord the king now speak. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 19. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with you in all this? And the woman answered and said, As your soul lives, my lord the king. None can turn to the right hand or to the left from anything that my lord the king has spoken. For your servant Joab, he bade me. And he put all these words in the mouth of your hand. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 20. To fetch about this form of speech has your servant Job done this thing. And my Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 21. And the king said to Joab, Behold now, I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 22. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself, and thanked the king. And Joab said, Today your servant knows that I have found grace in your sight, my lord, O king, in that the king has fulfilled the request of his servant. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 23. So Joab arose and went to Jeshurun, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 24. And the king said, Let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house, and saw not the king's face. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 25. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 26. And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him, therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 27. And to Absalom there were born 3 sons, and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of a fair countenance. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 28. So Absalom dwelled 2 full years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 29. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again the 2nd time, he would not come. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 30. Therefore he said to his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 31. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom to his house and said to him, Why have your servants set my field on fire? 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 32. And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent to you, saying, Come here, that I may send you to the king, to say, Why am I come from Shur? It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. 2 Samuel chapter 14, verse 33. So Joab came to the king and told him. And when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king. And then the king kissed Absalom. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. And it came to pass after this, that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 2. And Absalom rose up early, and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so, that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called to him, and said, Of what city are you? And he said, Your servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3. And Absalom said to him, See, your matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear you. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 40. Absalom said moreover, O that I were made judge in the land, that every man which has any suit or cause might come to me, and I would do him justice. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 5. And it was so, that when any man came near to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand, and took him, and kissed him. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 6. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 7. And it came to pass after 40 years, that Absalom said to the king, I pray you, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed to the Lord, in Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 8. For your servant vowed a vow, while I stayed at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 9. And the king said to him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 10. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigns in Hebron. 2 Samuel chapter 15, verse 11. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem, that were called And they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 12. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 13. And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 14. And David said to all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, Arise, and let us flee. For we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil on us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 15. And the king's servants said to the king, Behold, your servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king shall appoint. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 16. And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 17. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 18. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 19. Then said the king to Ittai the Gittite, Why go you also with us? Return to your place, and abide with the king, for you are a stranger, and also an exile. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 20. Whereas you came but yesterday, should I this day make you go up and down with us? Seeing I go where I may return you, and take back your brothers. Mercy and truth be with you. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 21. And Ittai answered the king, and said, As the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will your servant be. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22. And David said to Ittai, Go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over, and all his men, and all the little ones that were with him. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 23. And all of the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over, toward the way of the wilderness. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 24. And see Zadok also, and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up, until all the people had done passing out of the city. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 25. And the king said to Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again, and show me both it and his habitation. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 26. But if he thus say, I have no delight in you, behold, here am I. Let him do to me as seems good to him. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 27. The king said also to Zadok the priest, Are not you a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz your son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 28. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness, until there come word from you to certify me. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 29. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 30. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and had his head covered, and he went barefoot. And all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went up. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 31. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray you, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 32. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent, and earth on his head. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 33. To whom David said, If you pass on with me, then you shall be a burden to me. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 34. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant till now, so will I now also be your servant. Then may you for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 35. And have you not there with you Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be, that what things soever you shall hear out of the king's house, you shall tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 36. Behold, they have there with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son, and by them you shall send to me everything that you can hear. 2 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 37. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 1. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba the servant of Mephibosheth met him, with a couple of asses saddled, and on them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 2. And the king said to Ziba, What mean you by these? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine, that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 3. And the king said, And where is your master's son? And Ziba said to the king, Behold, he stays at Jerusalem. For he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 4. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, you are all that pertain to Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech you that I may find grace in your sight, my lord, O king. Samuel, chapter 16, verse 5. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, there came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Jerah. He came forth, and cursed still as he came. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 6. And he cast stones at David, and at all the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 7. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, come out, you bloody man, and you man of Belial. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 8. The Lord has returned on you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead you have reigned. And the Lord has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom, your son, and behold, you are taken in your mischief, because you are a bloody man. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 9. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah to the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray you, and take off his head. 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 10. And the king said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord has said to him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Why have you done so? 2 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 11. And David said to Abishai, and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeks my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord has bidden him. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 12. It may be that the Lord will look on my affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 13. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside and over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 14. And the king, and all the people that were with him came weary, and refreshed themselves there. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 15. And Absalom, and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 16. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come to Absalom, that Hushai said to Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 17. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this your kindness to your friend? Why went you not with your friend? 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 18. And Hushai said to Absalom, No, but whom the Lord, and this people, and all of the men of Israel, choose his will I be, and with him will I abide. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 19. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so will I be in your presence. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 20. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 21. And Ahithophel said to Absalom, Go into your father's concubines, which he has left to keep the house. And all Israel shall hear that you are abhorred of your father. Then shall the hands of all that are with you be strong. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 22. So they spread Absalom a tent on the top of the house. And Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 23. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 1. Moreover, Ahithophel said to Absalom, Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 2. And I will come on him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only. 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 3. And I will bring back all the people to you, The man whom you seek is as if all returned. So all the people shall be in peace. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 4. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 5. Then said Absalom, Call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he says. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 6. And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spoke to him, saying, Ahithophel has spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak you. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 7. And Hushai said to Absalom, The counsel that Ahithophel has given is not good at this time. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 8. For, said Hushai, You know your father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. And your father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 9. Behold, he is hid now in some pit, or in some other place. And it will come to pass, when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whoever hears it will say, There is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 10. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 11. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered to you, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that you go to battle in your own person. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 12. So shall we come on him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light on him as the dew falls on the ground. And of him, and of all the men that are with him, there shall not be left so much as one. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 13. Moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river until there be not one small stone found there. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 14. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, The counsel of Hushai, the Archite, is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil on Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 15. Then said Hushai to Zadok, and to Abiathar the priests, Thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 16. Now therefore send quickly, and tell David, saying, Lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people that are with him. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 17. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by Enrogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 18. Nevertheless a lad saw them, and told Absalom. But they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, where they went down. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, Verse 19. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground corn thereon. And the thing was not known. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 20. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, Where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said to them, They be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 21. And it came to pass after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said to David, Arise, and pass quickly over the water, for thus has Ahithophel counseled against you. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 22. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 23. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass, and arose, and got him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 24. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 25. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, that went in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 26. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 27. And it came to pass, when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobi the son of Nahash of Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and Machir the son of Amiel of Lodbar, and Barzillai the Gileadite of Roglah. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 28, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched vegetables. 2 Samuel, chapter 17, verse 29, and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of cows for David and for the people that were with him to eat, for they said, The people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 1. And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands, and captains of hundreds over them. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 2. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai, the Gittite. And the king said to the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 3. But the people answered, You shall not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die, will they care for us. But now you are worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that you succor us out of the city. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 4. And the king said to them, What seems you best I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 5. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom, And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 6. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim. 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 7. Where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and there was there a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 8. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 9. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode on a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 10. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 11. And Joab said to the man that told him, And behold, you saw him. And why did you not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 12. And the man said to Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged you and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 13. Otherwise I should have worked falsehood against my own life. For there is no matter hid from the king, and you yourself would have set yourself against me. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 14. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with you. And he took 3 darts in his hand, and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the middle of the oak. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 15. And 10 young men that bore Joab's armor compassed about, and smote Absalom, and slew him. 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 16. And Job blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Job held back the people. 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 17. And they took Absalom, and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones on him, and all Israel fled every one to his tent. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 18. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called to this day Absalom's place. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 19. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok, Let me now run, and bear the king tidings, how that the Lord has avenged him of his enemies. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 20. And Job said to him, You shall not bear tidings this day, but you shall bear tidings another day. But this day you shall bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 21. Then said Joab to Cushi, Go tell the king what you have seen. And Cushi bowed himself to Job, and ran. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 22. Then said Ahimaaz the son of Zadok yet again to Joab, But howsoever let me, I pray you, also run after Cushi. And Joab said, Why will you run, my son, seeing that you have no tidings ready? 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 23. But howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said to him, Run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain, and overran Cushi. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 24. And David sat between the two gates. And the watchman went up to the roof over the gate to the wall, and lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, a man running alone. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 25. And the watchman cried, and told the king. And the king said, If he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace, and drew near. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 26. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called to the porter, and said, Behold, another man running alone. And the king said, He also brings tidings. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 27. And the watchman said, Methinks the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, He is a good man, and comes with good tidings. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 28. And Ahimaaz called and said to the king, All is well. And he fell down to the earth on his face before the king, and said, Blessed be the Lord your God, which has delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 29. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent the king's servant, and me your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 30. And the king said to him, Turn aside, and stand here. And he turned aside, and stood still. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 31. And behold, Cushi came. And Cushi said, Tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord has avenged you this day of all them that rose up against you. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 32. And the king said to Cushi, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushi answered, The enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against you to do, you hurt. Be as that young man is. 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 33. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son, my son, my son, Absalom, my son, my son. 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 1. And it was told Joab, Behold, the king weeps and mourns for Absalom. 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 2. And the victory that day was turned into mourning to all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 3. And the people got them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 4. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 5. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, You have shamed this day the faces of all your servants, which this day have saved your life, and the lives of your sons and of your daughters, and the lives of your wives, and the lives of your concubines. 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 6. In that you love your enemies, and hate your friends. For you have declared this day that you regard neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased you well. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 7. Now therefore arise, go forth and speak comfortably to your servants. For I swear by the Lord, if you go not forth, there will not tarry one with you this night, and that will be worse to you than all the evil that befell you from your youth until now. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 8. Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told to all the people, saying, Behold, the king does sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 9. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 10. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore why speak you not a word of bringing the king back? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 11. And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priests, saying, Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel has come to the king, even to his house. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 12. You are my brothers, you are my bones and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the king? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 13. And say you to Amasa, Are you not of my bone and of my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if you be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 14. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word to the king, Return you and all your servants. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 15. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 16. And Shimei, the son of Jerah, a Benjamite, which was of Bahurim, hurried and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 17. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 18. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei the son of Jerah fell down before the king, as he was come over Jordan. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 19. And said to the king, Let not my lord impute iniquity to me. Neither do you remember that which your servant did perversely, the day that my lord, the king, went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 20. For your servant does know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my lord the king. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 21. But Abishai the son of Zeruiah answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 22. And David said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should this day be adversaries to me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 23. Therefore the king said to Shimei, "You shall not die." And the king swore to him. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 24. And Mephibosheth the son of Saul came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes, from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 25. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said to him, "Why went not you with me, Mephibosheth?" 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 26. And he answered, "My lord, O king, my servant deceived me, for your servant said, I will saddle me an ass, that I may ride thereon, and go to the king, because your servant is lame." 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 27. And he has slandered your servant to my lord the king, but my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in your eyes. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 28. For all of my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet did you set your servant among them that did eat at your own table. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more to the king? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 29. And the king said to him, Why speak you any more of your matters? I have said, You and Ziba divide the land. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 30. And Mephibosheth said to the king, Yes, let him take all, for as much as my lord the king is come again in peace to his own house. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 31. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim, and went over Jordan with the king, to conduct him over Jordan. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 32. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, and he had provided the king of sustenance while he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 33. And the king said to Barzillai, Come you over with me, and I will feed you with me in Jerusalem. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 34. And Barzillai said to the king, How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 35. I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can your servant taste what I eat, or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Why then should your servant be yet a burden to my lord the king? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 36. Your servant will go a little way over Jordan with the king, and why should the king recompense it me with such a reward? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 37. Let your servant, I pray you, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and of my mother. But behold your servant Chimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good to you. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 38. And the king answered, Chimham shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good to you, and whatever you shall require of me, that will I do for you. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 39. And all the people went over Jordan, and when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai, and blessed him, and he returned to his own place. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 40. Then the king went on to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him, and all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 41. And, behold, all the men of Israel came to the king, and said to the king, Why have our brothers, the men of Judah, stolen you away, and have brought the king, and his household, and all David's men with him, over Jordan? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 42. And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is near of kin to us. Why then be you angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost, or has he given us any gift? 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 43. And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah, and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than you. Why then did you despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1. And there happened to be there a man of Belial, whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite. And he blew a trumpet, and said, We have no part in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 2. So every man of Israel went up from after David, and followed Sheba the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah joined to their king, from Jordan even to Jerusalem. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 3. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in ward, and fed them, but went not into them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 40. Then said the king to Amasa, Assemble me the men of Judah within 3 days, and be you here present. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he tarried longer than the set time which he had appointed him. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 6. And David said to Abishai, Now shall Sheba the son of Bichri do us more harm than did Absalom. Take you your lord's servants, and pursue after him, lest he get in fenced cities, and escape us. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 7. And there went out after him Job's men, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men. And they went out of Jerusalem, to pursue after Sheba the son of Bichri. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 8. When they were at the great stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa went before them, and Job's garment that he had put on was girded to him, and on it a girdle with a sword fastened on his loins in the sheath thereof. And as he went forth, it fell out. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 9. And Joab said to Amasa, Are you in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with the right hand to kiss him. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 10. But Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Job's hand. So he smote him therewith in the 5th rib, and shed out his bowels to the ground, and struck him not again, and he died. So Joab and Abishai his brother pursued after Sheba the son of Bichri. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 11. And one of Joab's men stood by him and said, He that favors Job, and he that is for David, let him go after Job. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 12. And Amasa wallowed in blood in the middle of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa out of the highway into the field, and cast a cloth on him, when he saw that everyone that came by him stood still. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 13. When he was removed out of the highway, all the people went on after Job, to pursue after Sheba the son of Bichri. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 14. And he went through all the tribes of Israel to Abel, and to Bethmaachah, and all the Berites, and they were gathered together, and went also after him. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 15. And they came and besieged him in Abel of Bethmaachah, and they cast up a bank against the city, and it stood in the trench, and all the people that were with Job battered the wall to throw it down. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 16. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, say, I pray you to Job, come near here, that I may speak with you. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 17. And when he was come near to her, the woman said, Are you Job? And he answered, I am he. Then she said to him, Hear the words of your handmaid. And he answered, I do hear. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 18. Then she spoke, saying, They were wont to speak in old time, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel. And so they ended the matter. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 19. I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why will you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 20. And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me, that I should swallow up or destroy. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 21. The matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba the son of Bichri by name, has lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said to Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to you over the wall. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 22. Then the woman went to all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Job. And he blew a trumpet, and they retired from the city, every man to his tent. And Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 23. Now Job was over all the host of Israel, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites, and over the Pelethites. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 24. And Adoram was over the tribute, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorder. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 25. And Shiva was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. 2 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 26. And Ira, also the Jairite, was a chief ruler about David. 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 1. Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul, and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 2. And the king called the Gibeonites, and said to them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites, and the children of Israel had sworn to them. And Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah. 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 3. Why David said to the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you? And with which shall I make the atonement, that you may bless the inheritance of the Lord? 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 4. And the Gibeonites said to him, We will have no silver, nor gold of Saul, nor of his house. Neither for us shall you kill any man in Israel. And he said, What you shall say, that will I do for you. 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 5. And they answered the king, the man that consumed us, and that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coasts of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 6. Let 7 men of his sons be delivered to us, and we will hang them up to the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them. 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 7. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan the son of Saul. 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 8. But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bore to Saul, Armani and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai the Meholathite. Now, chapter 21, verse 9. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days in the beginning of barley harvest. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 10. And Rizpah the daughter of Aiah took sackcloth, and spread it for her on the rock, from the beginning of harvest until water dropped on them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 11. And it was told David what Rizpah the daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 12. And David went and took the bones of Saul, and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh-Gilead, which had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hanged them, when the Philistines had slain Saul in Gilboa. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 13. And he brought up from there the bones of Saul, and the bones of Jonathan his son, and they gathered the bones of them that were hanged. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 14. And the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son buried they in the country of Benjamin in Zelah, in the sepulchre of Kish his father. And they performed all that the king commanded. And after that, God was entreated for the land. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 15. Moreover, the Philistines had yet war again with Israel. And David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines. And David waxed faint. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16. And Ishbi-Benob, which was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 17. But Abishai the son of Zeruiah succored him, and smote the Philistine, and killed him. Then the men of David swore to him, saying, You shall go no more out with us to battle, that you quench not the light of Israel. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 18. And it came to pass after this, that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbecai the Hushathite slew Saph, which was of the sons of the giant. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 19. And there was again a battle in Gob with the Philistines, where Elhanan the son of Yeriah-Regem, a Bethlehemite, slew the brother of Goliath, the Gittite, the staff of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 20. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 420 in number, and he also was born to the giant. 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 21. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan the son of Shimea, the brother of David, slew him. 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 22. These four were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David, and by the hand of his servants. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 1. And David spoke to the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord had delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies, and out of the hand of Saul. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 2. And he said, The Lord is my rock, and my fortress, and my deliverer. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 3. The God of my rock. In him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower and my refuge, my Savior. You save me from violence. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 4. I will call on the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, so shall I be saved from my enemies. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 5. When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 6. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 7. In my distress I called on the Lord, and cried to my God, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Samuel, chapter 22, verse 8. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of heaven moved and shook, because he was wroth. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 9. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 10. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 11. And he rode on a cherub, and did fly, and he was seen on the wings of the wind. And Samuel, chapter 22, verse 12. And he made darkness pavilions round about him, dark waters, and thick clouds of the skies. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 13. Through the brightness before him were coals of fire kindled. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 14. The Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 15. And he sent out arrows and scattered them, lightning and discomfited them. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 16. And the channels of the sea appeared. The foundations of the world were discovered, at the rebuking of the Lord, at the blast of the breath of his nostrils. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 17. He sent from above, he took me, he drew me out of many waters. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 18. He delivered me from my strong enemy, and from them that hated me, for they were too strong for me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 19. They prevented me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 20. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me, because he delighted in me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 21. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, According to the cleanness of my hands has he recompensed me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 22. For I have kept the ways of the Lord, and have not wickedly departed from my God. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 23. For all his judgments were before me, and as for his statutes, I did not depart from them. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 24. I was also upright before him, and have kept myself from my iniquity. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 25. Therefore the Lord has recompensed me, according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness in his eyesight. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 26. With the merciful you will show yourself merciful, and with the upright man you will show yourself upright. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 27. With the pure you will show yourself pure, and with the fraudulent you will show yourself unsavory. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 28. And the afflicted people you will save, but your eyes are on the haughty, that you may bring them down. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 29. For you are my lamp, O Lord, and the Lord will lighten my darkness. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 30. For by you I have run through a troop, by my God have I leaped over a wall. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 31. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all them that trust in him. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 32. For who is God, save the Lord? And who is a rock, save our God? 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 33. God is my strength and power, and he makes my way perfect. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 34. He makes my feet like hinds' feet, and sets me on my high places. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 35. He teaches my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 36. You have also given me the shield of your salvation, and your gentleness has made me great. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 37. You have enlarged my steps under me, so that my feet did not slip. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 38. I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them, and turned not again till I had consumed them. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 39. And I have consumed them, and wounded them, that they could not arise. Yes, they are fallen under my feet. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 40. For you have girded me with strength to battle. Them that rose up against me have you subdued under me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 41. You have also given me the necks of my enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 42. They looked, but there was none to save, even to the Lord, but he answered them not. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 43. Then did I beat them as small as the dust of the earth. I did stamp them as the mire of the street, and did spread them abroad. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 44. You also have delivered me from the strivings of my people. You have kept me to be head of the heathen. A people which I knew not shall serve me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 45. Strangers shall submit themselves to me. As soon as they hear, they shall be obedient to me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 46. Strangers shall fade away, and they shall be afraid out of their close places. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 47. The Lord lives, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of the rock of my salvation. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 48. It is God that avenges me, and that brings down the people under me. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 49. And that brings me forth from my enemies. You also have lifted me up on high above them that rose up against me. You have delivered me from the violent man. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 50. Therefore I will give thanks to you, O Lord, among the heathen, and I will sing praises to your name. 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verse 51. He is the tower of salvation for his king, and shows mercy to his anointed, to David, and to his seed forevermore. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 1. Now these be the last words of David. David the son of Jesse said, And the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, and the sweet psalmist of Israel, said. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 2. The Spirit of the Lord spoke by me, and his word was in my tongue. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 3. The God of Israel said, The rock of Israel spoke to me. He that rules over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 40. And he shall be as the light of the morning, when the sun rises, even a morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after rain. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 5. Although my house be not so with God, yet he has made with me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things, and sure. For this is all my salvation, and all my desire, although he make it not to grow. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 6. But the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 7. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron and the staff of a spear, and they shall be utterly burned with fire in the same place. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 8. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adino the Eznite. He lift up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 9. And after him was Eliezer, the son of Dodo the Ahohite, one of the 3 mighty men with David, when they defied the Philistines that were there gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 10. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand stuck to the sword, and the Lord worked a great victory that day. And the people returned after him, only to spoil. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 11. And after him was Shammah the son of Agi, the Hararite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 12. But he stood in the middle of the ground, and defended it, and slew the Philistines, and the Lord worked a great victory. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 13. And 3 of the 30 chief went down, and came to David in the harvest time to the cave of Adullam. And the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 14. And David was then in an hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 15. And David longed and said, "Oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate." 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 16. And the 3 mighty men broke through the host of the Philistines, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem, that was by the gate, and took it, and brought it to David. Nevertheless he would not drink thereof, but poured it out to the Lord. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 17. And he said, "Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives?" Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these 3 mighty men. And Samuel, chapter 23, verse 18. And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among 3, and he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among 3. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 19. Was he not most honorable of 3? Therefore he was their captain. However, he attained not to the first 3. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 20. And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man, of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the middle of a pit in time of snow. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 21. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man, and the Egyptian had a spear in his hand. But he went down to him with a staff, and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand, and slew him with his own spear. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 22. These things did Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and had the name among 3 mighty men. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 23. He was more honorable than the 30, but he attained not to the first 3, and David set him over his guard. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 24. Asahel the brother of Joab was one of the 30, Elhanan the son of Dodo of Bethlehem. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 25. Shammah the Harodite, Elika the Harodite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 26. Helez the Paltite, Ere the son of Ikesh the Tekoe. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 27. Abiezer the Anathothite, Mebunai the Hushathite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 28. Almon the Ahohite, Maharai the Netophathite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 29. Heleb the son of Baanah, a Netophathite, Ittai the son of Ribai, out of Gibeah of the children of Benjamin. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 30. Benaiah the Parathonite, Hiddai of the brooks of Gash. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 31. Abielbon the Arbathite, Asmaveth the Barhumite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 32. Eliab the Shalbonite of the sons of Jashan, Jonathan. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 33. Shammah the Hararite, Ahiam the son of Sharar, the Hararite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 34. Eliphalet the son of Ahasbai, the son of the Maachathite. Eliam, the son of Ahitophel, the Gilonite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 35. Ezrai the Carmelite, Parai the Arbite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 36. Egal the son of Nathan of Zobah, Bani the Gadite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 37. Zelek the Ammonite, Nahari the Beerothite, armor-bearer to Job the son of Zeruiah. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 38. Era, an Ithrite, Gareb an Ithrite. 2 Samuel, chapter 23, verse 39. Uriah the Hittite, 30 in all. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 1. And again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, Go, number Israel and Judah. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 2. For the king said to Joab the captain of the host, which was with him, Go now through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, and number you the people, that I may know the number of the people. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 3. And Joab said to the king, Now the Lord your God add to the people, how many soever they be, 100 times, and that the eyes of my lord the king may see it. But why does my lord the king delight in this thing? 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 40. Notwithstanding the king's word prevailed against Joab, and against the captains of the host. And Joab and the captains of the host went out from the presence of the king, to number the people of Israel. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 5. And they passed over Jordan, and pitched in Aroer, on the right side of the city that lies in the middle of the river of Gad, and toward Jazer. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 6. Then they came to Gilead, and to the land of Tatim-Hachi, and they came to Danjan, and about to Zidon. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 7. And came to the stronghold of Tyre, and to all the cities of the Hivites, and the Canaanites, and they went out to the south of Judah, even to Beersheba. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 8. So when they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 9. And Joab gave up the sum of the number of the people to the king. And there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men that drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 10. And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people. And David said to the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done. And now, I beseech you, O Lord, take away the iniquity of your servant, for I have done very foolishly. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 11. For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came to the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 12. Go and say to David, Thus says the Lord, I offer you 3 things. Choose you one of them, that I may do it to you. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 13. So Gad came to David, and told him, and said to him, Shall 7 years of famine come to you in your land? Or will you flee 3 months before your enemies, while they pursue you? Or that there be 3 days' pestilence in your land? Now advise. and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 14. And David said to Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great. Let me not fall into the hand of man. And 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 15. So the Lord sent a pestilence on Israel from the morning even to the time appointed. And there died the people from Dan even to Beersheba, 70,000 men. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 16. And when the angel stretched out his hand on Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed the people, It is enough. Stay now your hand. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing place of Araunah, the Jebusite. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 17. And David spoke to the Lord when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, See, I have sinned, and I have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? Let your hand, I pray you, be against me, and against my father's house. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 18. And Gad came that day to David and said to him, Go up, raise an altar to the Lord in the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 19. And David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as the Lord commanded. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 20. And Araunah looked, and saw the king and his servants coming on toward him. And Araunah went out, and bowed himself before the king on his face on the ground. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 21. And Araunah said, Why is my lord the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor of you, to build an altar to the Lord, that the plague may be stayed from the people. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 22. And Araunah said to David, Let my lord the king take and offer up what seems good to him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments and other instruments of the oxen for wood. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 23. All these things did Araunah as a king give to the king. And Araunah said to the king, The Lord your God accept you. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 24. And the king said to Araunah, No, but I will surely buy it of you at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings to the Lord, my God, of that which does cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. 2 Samuel, chapter 24, verse 25. And David built there an altar to the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So the Lord was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Israel.